Welcome inside the locker room, another presentation of the Pikiell Podcast brought to you by Horizon. Nice to be in here. Nice digs, Coach. How are you?
Come a long way with these digs. It wasn't always like this, but Nike too here. And, this is our game day locker room, which actually all the student athletes here, game day for volleyball, game day for women's basketball. This is the locker room that we use. And it's come a long way. A lot of new additions to this facility.
Very nice setup. So, we come to you from the locker room for the podcast, and you come off a really difficult stretch, no question about it, ending up in Ann Arbor over the weekend, and now into a little bit, not a break practice-wise, but game-wise, a little bit of a break into Seton Hall. How important, because once we get to January, we fly. How important are these couple of weeks for you guys preparation-wise?
I mean, it's really huge because from Vegas on, it was like game. You're never really able to adjust and change. You're just preparing for the next team, things you need to improve on. So we've had a week here to work on some things that haven't been great, for us. But I also told our guys we played the most challenging part in adding this game, against a really good Seton Hall team on the road. Probably the toughest stretch, certainly in my 10 years, but maybe the toughest stretch in Rutgers basketball history with, playing all ranked teams from Tennessee to Notre Dame now is receiving votes in the thing, and playing UNLV at home game for them. And then obviously Purdue was number one, and now I think Michigan's number one team in America. And I don't think that's like a hard stretch. I can't even believe they have other teams that, Michigan probably, the best team certainly since I've been in the league that I've faced from depth-wise and experience and maturity. So we've taken our team through the gauntlet. Hopefully it helps us move forward here. We still got a lot of games left, and hopefully we can learn from those experiences. We're certainly not going to play a better team than Michigan. So moving forward here, hopefully our young guys got their feet wet in the first 10 games. We're now a week of practice and an extra week next week too, which will, help us.
And you mentioned the youth of your team, which is well noted, obviously. You played games on the road. The game in Michigan was a real, true road game. What do you think they took from that experience being out there?
Yeah, I think it's everything. Because they're experiencing it for the first time. We have 7 freshmen. How hard it is on the road. How you couldn't hear things too during some of the huddles. How you don't get any calls. When you're on the road too. And playing in those hostile environments against really good teams that take advantage of every mistake you make. Like when we were struggled in screen coverage, they got open threes. When we didn't block out, they got second shots. When we were soft with the ball, we got turnovers. So there are teams that you play that you can't have lapses like that. And certainly when you're playing number 1 Purdue, number 1 Michigan, number 9, whatever Tennessee was, every possession matters. Every mistake shows up on the scoreboard.
All right, so we move ahead now with this week of practice into a Saturday night game, which is always fun for people in this area, the Garden State Hardwood Classic. This year it'll be played at the Rock, Seton Hall's home court. I guess take it just from the event itself before we talk about the actual basketball, kind of how cool it is when you've got, New Jersey versus New Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, I think this has been, one of the great rivalries, and I'm thankful that Shah has continued playing the game because we didn't play for a couple of years, too, during this stretch. And I think it's important. I think it's important for New Jersey. I know it's important for Rutgers and Seton Hall. And it doesn't matter what kind of year you're having either. It's an exciting game. You're playing for bragging rights in a great basketball state. The game's always competitive. It's always a close game. So there's a real fun and a real rivalry to it. And trying to tell 10 new guys, what it's like. That's changed a little bit because through the years, you used to your freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior year. Now you got to condense it into, hey, this is really, really important. And this is really a special opportunity, to a lot of newcomers. And they have a lot of newcomers, too, to the rivalry. So you don't get that same flavor of I played against them as a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, but you still get the importance of this game.
It's a conversation for another podcast, perhaps, but you bring up a great point. In this day and age of where we're at in college basketball, you think about free agents in baseball that maybe sign a 1-year contract, let's say with the Yankees, and they just jump into Yankees, Red Sox. Well, in that case, they get to play the Red Sox 19 times. Maybe they understand the rivalry by the end of the season. In this case, it's one game. It's got to be like I remember the first Seton Hall game with you guys that you won, and the Jersey Mike's Arena. It was one of the cooler environments I'd ever been around. And you're right, you have guys that have been through it and could kind of build and build and build. It's got to be when you say you've kind of got to get them into it. Is it a conversation that's had?
100%. I mean, it's the microwave era, so we have to speed up everything. Like I know Lathan Somerville would be better in game 2.
Sure.
Then he understands it a little bit, but he's not here anymore. So you lean on J. Mike, you lean on your veterans, the guys that understand the game a little bit. You want them to talk to the players too, not just the coaching staff, because I have my version of it for 10 years and what this game has meant to us and to New Jersey. And you just got to condense that to 10 guys that have never played in it and never went to the games. I think that's just a little bit harder, but everything's a little harder right now in college sports. It's at a funny time, but hopefully, they'll know the passion as soon as they get to the arena, on Saturday, and how important this game is to, Seton Hall and to us.
Well, at least you got a couple of guys that have been through it, and Dylan Grant and Bryce Dortch and Jamichael Davis. He's another one. Emmanuel's been through it. So you do have that. What are the keys for your team going into this game? Just in terms of, you mentioned things you've learned and need to improve on. I know you're going to tell me rebounding. Totally get it. Is that still where you're at, where you're still drilling that into them?
Transition defense, rebounding, and consistency. That's the one thing that, when you have a new group of guys and when you have younger guys that you're counting on, it's just consistency. Like every day, we got to bring these tools to the court. And a lot of it has to do with, consistency with rebounding, consistency in our transition defense, consistency in a togetherness, and consistency in competing. Like the one thing Seton Hall, they got, some older guys that know how to compete and have been in these games. Our guys are learning that. That's a must every night out, especially playing in the league that we play in, which, as you know, is the gauntlet, is a gauntlet. So trying to get that from a young group, just a consistency in our effort, consistency in rebound and defense. And practicing every day. Practice becomes very important. High school kids practice this, one day you practice hard, one day you don't. It never comes back to haunt you. College, you got to practice. Practice is a very important part of the building the habits and the consistency that you need to win games.
Given the fact with how young the team is, when you look at where you were when you started to where you are now and to where you want to be in March, it's got to be one hell of a process. How much improved do you think this team can be as the season goes on, as they are going through it all for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, I really think, the great part of not playing as well as you would like is you can get a lot better. And some of our guys are embracing the process of getting better too. Then that's film study, and that's taking care of your body, and that's preparing for, like, every game is different. Like Seton Hall they play similar to Michigan, but just with different levels. The Michigan had a 7'4" center, and Seton Hall center is 6'9". Just different, but they play similar to them. So I'm kind of thankful that these games are back to back. And the things we could learn in the Michigan game, are directly going to relate to us getting better at to help us in the Seton Hall game. Like our transition defense was not good. We turned the ball over. Like those are things that Seton Hall flourishes with. So we're able to teach from what just happened in that game. I don't always get that luxury because sometimes we're playing Wisconsin, who walks the ball up and doesn't trap at all and does an offensive rebound. Now we're playing Seton Hall that's active and they rebound and they try to get steals. You know what I mean? So I like the fact that we just played Michigan, and I didn't like how we played, but they played a similar style. Just their guards are bigger, their forwards are bigger at Michigan. Their depth is different, So try to learn from that. You try to learn every different way that you can through film, through taking care of your body, through, scouting. And I think our guys are learning the value of preparation.
Which is almost everything in a lot of cases. All right, I got a bunch of questions I want to hit you with here off social media. We'll start with one. These are relatively random. I'll get back to Seton Hall in a second. We'll end with that one. I like this one. How do you balance getting some of your, a lot of freshmen we were talking about. How do you balance getting some of your freshman minutes to get the experience they need throughout the course of the season?
It's always really hard. And freshmen mature at different, paces too. I think about Dylan Grant last year. In the first 10 games, he didn't play a lot. Like I just felt he wasn't ready. Then he started showing some signs in practice. And then all of a sudden you're throwing him into high level games, too. So there's always that sweet spot. I'm trying to get guys minutes. You're trying to win games. You're trying to learn guys too when you have 10 newcomers. So you got to do a really, really good job of learning your guys quicker now. Last year after 10 games with Dylan, I thought he started understanding like we needed him to rebound, what we need him to. He started doing that, and then he started earning more minutes. And I like that part of it too, because you got to earn your minutes. Like these freshmen come in, they've just played a lot of minutes in high school, never came out of the game for some part. All of a sudden now they think that's how college is. And I'm like, whoa. College, you have to earn and you have to learn how to play at this level where teams defend you and teams have scouting reports. And then what Dylan Grant's now learning is he's learning now he's the first name on the scouting report. So he's getting guarded by the best player. Last year, he didn't get guarded by the best player. So you even have to be better than the scouting report now. Like they're not going to just let you drive right. They're not going to give you an open three because you're a good three-point shooter. Yeah. So like even as they're growing as sophomores, they all take on different roles. He was the fifth freshman last year in the lineup. Now he's the first name on the scouting report. So it's a whole different place to be. So in a short period of time, he has to learn a lot of different things.
And he's the marked man, no doubt. Pikiell Podcast presented by Horizon. Just one quickie before I get back to this. You mentioned the high school kids, and I'm always fascinated by when college kids, specifically the NFL, they always talk about the speed. It takes some time to catch up to the speed. Is that similar with high school basketball to this level, college basketball?
100%. And the foreign guys are learning that too. It's different in Europe. It's the speed, it's the physicality. I mean, there's a lack. Every time I go to a high school basketball game, there's no physicality. Nobody screens hard. Nobody defends hard. Nobody boxes out hard. Nobody, now you got to fight through screens set by 280-pound guys that are trying to rack you up. So there's a physicality. There's a speed to, and what happens too, the people around them, they remember their senior year of high school. Well, he scored 20 points in high school. Oh, he did this. Well, no one set a screen in high school. No one could defend in high school. No one boxed them out. This is a whole different level. So you got to get people to think back to their freshman year of high school. That's a little more appropriate to their freshman year of college. Adding in the physicality. And now college basketball is old as it's ever been. So we got 25, 26, 27-year-olds. So you're really talking about jumping up in weight class. Caden Powers is 18, just turned 18 in August. He's going to play against 25-year-old guys. That's 7 years physically and 7 years maturity-wise. So, those are all obstacles that you have to face. And, they have to make those adjustments. And it's in real time. And it's on real TV. And then, you got social media pressures. Like, I just saw Australia just banned social media, all 16-year-old. And they put on TV the 10 things that, depression, anxiety, all those things. And I'm like, okay, well, why are any of us on, this? And I'm saying, well, my guys are addicted to that too. So you add that element too, to the learning process is a lot.
If you don't mind, I'm going to go back to social media for the question.
Yeah, let's go back to social media for the next question.
Here's the next one. Who's one player who has surprised you through the first 10 games on the roster?
You know what? There's a few things. At times, they've all surprised me. We've had a lot of guys be leading scorers in games that have had great halves and great games. I knew our returning guys, and they've all improved, all four of them, and that's what I'm most proud of. Mike, if you saw him in the Notre Dame game, you'd say, oh, my God. If you saw Emmanuel in the UNLV game, you'd say, oh, my God. Bryce has given us good minutes, DG, and a lot, so the four returning guys have gotten better, and I'm proud of that. They stayed, and they've been rewarded for that. The newcomers, every game somebody shows me a little. I thought Caden Powers came in the Michigan game and wasn't afraid. That's a tough environment, and he hasn't been in practice every day. The first name, but he showed me he's got a little swagger to him. He showed me he can get a shot off. He showed me those kind of things that he could do. So every guy has given me moments. Now we got to be consistent with what they're doing. And a lot of it starts with the practice habits. And again, we've only been practicing for, we got 8 hours 4 hours in the summertime, 4 hours in the weight room, 4 hours on the basketball court. But really, our 20 hours a week started in October. So we haven't had them for consistent minutes. And, that's, I think, very, very important. But, they've all given me, Melino's given me minutes. Chris has given us minutes. Javante's starting to come. He had an injury. We missed 3 weeks. That really hurt him a lot. And now he's starting to come back into his own a little bit. So they've all shown me something. And Dennis, I like him. He's a really good learner. Haroon's starting to turn the corner a little bit and starting to learn some stuff. So they've all given me minutes.
I love them all, but Lino's my favorite. I love watching him fly up and down the floor. He's so fast.
He is fast, and he's learning too. Yeah. I mean, that's a hard position. Like now you're a quarterback. Yeah, that's why in football they redshirt all the freshmen. Yeah. You know what I mean? So they don't have to, they're not counting it. Here in basketball, we can't do that. And, so they got to learn in real time on the fly, playing really good players. Like Elliot Cadeau, the other is like, I've been around. He's been around. He's a good player. He's an international guy. He's started for 2 years at North Carolina, and now he's in year 3. You can tell he's a veteran of many wars. And, like those are the guys that Lino's, and I know you don't have any of that experience. You haven't played in, but like, you got to stop them.
Yep. No doubt. All right, let's end it where we pretty much started, and that's Saturday with Seton Hall. And this is, if you could name your favorite memory against Seton Hall over the years, what would it be?
Oh, boy.
Mine's the first one. It was so awesome.
Yeah, the game here at home was just, the environment, with Ron Harper Jr. and Akwasi Aboa. And, I don't know what the score was, but I never have heard a louder crowd. But I will tell you, the last 2 years, real proud of our team. Like we went into the Prudential with Gavin Griffiths and those kind of guys who aren't here, and we played lockdown defense, and we were able to leave that place with an unbelievable win. And then last year, Dylan Harper's 3 so there's been some great memories. The game's always been great, and they've had really good teams. When I first took the job here, they had by far the top 25 program at that time. And, we were in those battles too. And Corey Sanders, I think about that game. He was awesome. And Mike Williams, for the first time, won the game. I know what it meant to him. So there was been some awesome memories, and hopefully we keep making more.
And it's such a great way to end too. You mentioned Mike Williams and what it meant to him. One of the kids before this new land we're in, it meant a lot each year. It meant more and more and more. And he finally got it. And I remember that. Like, not that he was emotional, but it was like a weight was lifted off his shoulder.
Yeah, it was an awesome locker room after that game. And we were trying to prove to people that, we were getting, good. And, he hadn't had any success his first few years. And, proud of him. And he's still a guy who comes back. Those are the things that, you kind of miss about this era now. But, we got guys coming back. I love that. It's just they got to come back after being here 2 years, type of deal. It's just a little bit different. But Mike Williams, this is a home for him. This is a place that he helped build, and that meant a lot to him. I remember seeing him after the game. Might have been the happiest he's ever been.
Which is pretty cool. Well, we hope we're that happy on Saturday. Thank you for a couple of minutes. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
All right, so the next couple of games, Saturday at the Rock, the following Saturday at Jersey Mike's Arena against Penn. Another edition of the Pikiell Podcast presented by Horizon.